Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome day where we're doing awesome FileMaker stuff. I'm the creator of fmtraining.tv, where we do lots of great training every day at 1 o'clock. We're broadcasting in high definition to Discord, to YouTube, and to Twitch. So if you have an opportunity to join us on one of those channels live, that's great. You can ask questions. You're probably watching this recorded, right? In which case, if you try to ask questions, then no one will hear you, right? So the benefit of showing up live. So today is going to be an awesome day. We're going to be doing all sorts of neat stuff today. Normally Fridays are kind of a cleanup for us. I'm kind of closing some windows here. Fridays are a cleanup for us because what we have is during the week, people submit sample files. Last week, we actually had a mind-blowing demo by NJ from Australia. That's Neil. Neil did a great job. He's a pretty mellow kind of guy. Pretty amazing. And so there were some things there that like blew my mind, like really amazing. And so today is another demo. We have a couple of our people who watch the live streams who contribute and talk. I think Kyle kind of over contributes, right? So we are all kind of all on the same page on that. I mean, most of the people watching this are aware of that. And so what we did is that instead of having him run wild on Discord, we kind of segregated him off into like a little section. And we're going to be showing a sample file that he has today. I have not looked at it. I'm sure it does some amazing stuff, probably almost all of it in JSON. So probably today is, I would say, if I had to guess in our kind of our progression of learning, we have this progression of learning chart. I would say probably today is probably just going to hang out in the senior advanced department. I doubt there'll be too much intermediate or junior level stuff. If there was, I'd be shocked because I don't think Kyle does anything that low. Kyle, if the senior engineers aren't bleeding from the ears, he has failed in his mission. So today should be decidedly a very, 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 very senior kind of day. That being said, who is this live stream and what the hell video am I watching here? Well, this is fmtrain.tv. If you go to our website at fmtrain.tv, you type that in, you'll get these tabs across the top. You can see the upcoming schedule, which does show the next 6 days of broadcast. And so today is the kind of this open Q&A day with Kyle Williams. And then we have basically 10 days, not 5 days or 3 days or 2 days or 1 day. We have 10 days. You're going to have so much Nick Hunter. You'll have Nick Hunter poisoning. You'll have to go to the hospital for excessive exposure to Nick Hunter. So Nick Hunter is excessively awesome. He's going to attempt to do 10 days in a row without melting down, psychologically just melting down. So if we have to take the live stream equipment into the hospital room with him while he's plugged in, we can do that. The doctors will probably yell at us and he'll be going, but it's an abomination. And the doctors will be like, ah! Right? So I've gone and met him before and hoses were hanging out. And then, and it was just like wild. So hopefully that does not happen again. But if it does, we are going to deliver high quality training no matter the personal medical expense to Nick. So that's coming up next week and the week after that. So that'll be pretty interesting. If you're interested in helping support the channel or you need help, if you want to get assistance with FileMaker projects, I'm going to just bring up a website right here. It's called FileMakerCoaches.com. If you go to FileMakerCoaches.com, you can learn about development services, coaching services. If you want to talk or ask us about this, you can get it frequently discounted depending on what you're trying to do. Send us an email to support@rcconsulting.com. You'll see that link down here, support@rcconsulting.com. It goes to, frankly, the coaching team. The coaching team does coaching, but they also alternatively do tech support kind of at the same time. And I found out that a couple of the coaches have been stealthily hiding and lurking in my broadcast. Now there's another person called Next. I'm not sure who that is. Then you got Mog, who's not iMog. This turns out to be Michael Van Cronenberg, I can always mess that up. He is just completing work on FM Starting Point Lite, which is kind of a super light version of the CRM. Basically, without picking on Nick, because I know Nick's here, if we took all the new crap that Nick has built over the last 3 years and removed it from Starting Point and simplified it down as much as possible, that's what Starting Point Lite is. And so it makes a better training tool for brand new people. Once again, if you're up here, so we have a new version of Starting Point coming out and targeted this version specifically for this group here. The standard version that you all come to know and love has got some additional enhancements just in terms of enterprise performance, which we learned from Jesse Barnum at 360 Works when we did that enterprise webinar. So that version is called the standard version. It's the one that's kind of there now if you download it. and that's the one that you want to download if you're this group of people over here. So Michael, Zane, and Andy have been working on that out of our San Luis Obispo office, and it's in Central California. So they done a great job, and we're very proud of the work they're doing. And someday they will be highly paid senior engineers, but for right now they're at their lower end. Megan says, I was using FM starting point as inspiration on estimate print layouts. I'm proud that I actually understood it now rather than I started with the training. Yeah, so the goal is Trixie, as she pointed out, that she was learning about it, doing this and doing that, and the version of starting point that's there right now, it's just a lot for a brand new developer. And it's just, you can't, it's like I was trying to talk about people like Claire, the decisions that Claire makes as they bring products to market. They can't be all things to all people. In the case of starting point, you can't have one product that can be all things for beginning people and advanced people. So we forked it. So there's one version that's going to stay over here, one version stays over there. So when we have a new updates and stuff, they may or may not go to one or both or whatever. So it'll just depend. Okay. So that's kind of what's going on there. If you want to support the channel, we greatly appreciate that. Visit fmtraining.tv. Once again, you saw that live tab. You can come over here to our bundles tab. You can get our training bundle, which is the on-demand training. It's like 80 or 90 hours. I've not added it up lately. It's just a ton of video, but it's on concise topics. So like today is going to be on the topic that Kyle decides that we're talking about, which you can assume is custom functions and JSON. And so as a result of that, if you today want to learn about relationships or how to write how to improve performance on some widget or something like that, then you're going to want to go to our training, our paid training, and look at that. So that's kind of the whole idea with that. It's the training that you want when you want it. It's just that there's no one live to ask questions. If you want to watch the training and then ask questions live, that's where you get a FileMaker coach. It's a little bit more money, but that's how that works. So we have a whole scale of engagement on how to help you depending upon how fast you want to learn and what your budget is, right? So pretty cool. So I think we're done with that part of it. We've kind of covered the upcoming stuff. What I want to do is I want to see if I can get Kyle. Kyle, you want to show your screen, show your face, or show your face for a little bit so people can see your smiling face. It's always useful. Wave to everyone.
Hey, morning, everybody.
All right, so there's Kyle. Kyle is going to...
Another exciting day of FileMaker today.
All right, so yeah, so tell us what we are doing today because you have a sample file, and we have the link that's posted. Okay. We can kind of repost it again, I suppose, wherever it went.
All right, so today I'm covering virtual lists. So I have a...
Okay, I'm going to do my thing here, and if you can find a spot to move that like somewhere else would be great.
All right.
Thank
you.
There
we go. Up in the corner. Okay, so today's presentation is about virtual lists and how to access any of your value lists in your file in a virtual list window, and how you can create multi-selectors or selectors. So I'm going to start over here. This is a FileMaker value list, the traditional methods. So you got your usual pop-down menu here, and you select one. And I have a little banner that pops up. It'll go away on its own. But it's basically saying that with this value list, you can't, it's not going to automatically update every year. So you'd have to manually update it, which is really annoying that you would have to manually update that every year. So what I have here is I have this portal here that will search. You can search any of your value lists. You staff, it'll color code what you've typed, connects it out of that. You can just go ahead and select one of them. So this is just another banner saying that, this is great because this will automatically update all on its own. So now that I have a value list selected, I can go down here and I can select this and it'll give me that list from that JSON. I'll get into that in a minute. So I have a single selector here. I can type in a year and select it. And then I have a multi-select option. So that'll allow you to select multiple years. So it's actually a button bar with two icons in it, one for deselected, one for selected. So the really exciting stuff comes in this next part here. So I'm just going to scroll to the right. So here I have this calculation window and a calculation results window. So what I can do here is I can select sample calculation. I have a custom function here, JSON create value list. And in this custom function, I have here, you can get the field name of your ID. So the first parameter is your ID. And then after that, you have your value parameter. So everything in here is ID and value. That's what the virtual list is working with. Okay, so with this, I can now select get one item, and you can see all the names here. I can just select one at random. So what's really cool about this is I can modify this in this window here. I can exit out of it. You can see the update over here on the right. If I go back into it, now I have all the IDs showing. If I wanted to add another field to this, I can do that as well. So I can just modify that again. It shows up over here. And again, I can go in here and now everything shows that. Again, I can type in here, it'll search. So that's really cool. I can hit clear and it'll clear it. And I also have a multi-select. So I can go in here and I can select multiple options. I can save and it shows all the values. So these are all the values from this JSON. And for the next part, if I want to do get JSON response for any of these, I can just select that checkbox. When I select it, it's going to come out and show the ID and the value for the selected item. Again, over here, I can do the same thing. So, and that shows all the JSON for the selected values. It keeps track of the items that are already selected. I can add to it, I can modify this and save, and it's going to update and just show that little bit of JSON. So that's really cool. So another part of this is execute SQL.
All right.
Which,
hey.
All right, I will pause.
Pause, take a breath, breathe out. Because you went flying from the one tab to the next tab, and I don't know any error like transition there. There was like no error. It was like 9,000 miles an hour. So,
all right.
Does anyone have a question? I'm trying to give him a chance to breathe and catch up. Because if he passes out on camera, it's going to be really funny, and I'm going to feel really bad, right? Two things will happen at the same time.
Once I get going, I just keep going.
Right. Well, that's why we're pausing. Yeah, I know it was fast. TK goes, yeah, it's super fast. So, at the end, I just want to know a real-life use case for this. Okay, go back to your sample calc and tell. This is when I asked you this last time, and you were like, "Oh, it'll be self-evident." Okay, I hate. And what
so sample calc.
Agent Chevy says is that he wants to know a real-life. He wants you to explain in reasonable detail what is a real-life application for this.
So this is another way to show a value list and show a way to provide a way for the user to have a way to select an item from a list. Using this method, you can also reverse the sort. You can have everything descending. You can sort by any field in your table. So it opens up a whole lot more options. So when we get into execute SQL, we can use ordered by, and what ordered by does is it allows us to sort descending or ascending, and we can select whatever field we want to sort by. So it doesn't have to be just the values in the list. We can sort by an invoice date and show the number of, or the values or invoice IDs, but sort by the dates so that we get the relevant stuff first. And then we can also fetch only the first 101 rows. There's an offset function too, so you can show the first 100 entries, and then you show the second 100 entries. You can create back and forth buttons, just like you see in a lot of websites, where they show you so many options, and you have all these tabs at the bottom. You can select the next 50 or 100 entries. You can just go through everything. So SQL does provide a lot more functionality for creating value list selections for the user. So
okay.
I did forget to show you one thing real quick here. So here I'm just going to select location. So I have these couple checkboxes I jumped right past here. So this what this does is, when you're setting up a value list, you have these checkboxes, and you can have it show only the second field. I can go down here, and it's only going to show me the second field. If I want to show just the IDs, I can deselect both of them. That's going to just give me the IDs. If if I want to include both the ID and the field, I can do that. And all of this, you can search any of it. You can type RI, there you go. So really cool way to create a selector that anybody can use. And there's the multi-selector option as well. So if I want to be able to select multiple options, it doesn't matter what the value list is here, you're going to be able to search it. And that's another thing you can't do with your drop-down or pop-up menus. It doesn't give you that option to search your list. In this, I can select any of these value lists and it'll show me that value list. And this is not JSON right here. This is your actual value lists. This virtual list here is powered by JSON, but the formula, it's actually using this JSON right here.
Okay, you're flying around pretty fast here, and I think you just lost about 3/4 of the people here. So I'm going to ask a couple questions here. So Oregon Dean says, why, what, and how are 3 different angles of each application? Please elaborate. I'm not sure. Like angles of usage, Oregon Dean, or... Yeah, I mean, okay, so let me back up a second here. So let me help frame this conversation, because I'm going to clarify something you said, right? So because I've talked to the engineers about this very specifically. So there are people who fundamentally like SQL because normally they come to the platform. I've got a new engineer right now who I told him if he put SQL in another FileMaker application without my approval, I was going to fire his. And because he uses it just because he knows it, not because it's the best use of the technology. So SQL was added to the application for reporting, generally reporting. You can't add data or edit data or delete data out of FileMaker with the built-in SQL. It only allows you to get and view the data. What it allows you to do is get data through a hypothetical relationship without the need of adding or editing the relational diagram. So normally in FileMaker, it's context-based. You have to have the relationship structure. All this right here can be done without having the little boxes that are talking to the other little boxes, and you have the little tog and all that kind of stuff. If you were doing it purely in FileMaker, you would have to have this set up. But if he wants to do reporting on this and he doesn't have this already structured, the biggest benefit to SQL is that it doesn't require this. Now, to be clear, as a general rule, just pound for pound, SQL is not faster than doing it in FileMaker. It's faster from the standpoint of you don't have to build a relational diagram, but once again, per the engineers who I've talked to them face-to-face about this, when SQL has to be run, FileMaker has to take the SQL, it has to translate it into stuff that FileMaker understands, then it runs it, then it translates it back to the output that you're asking for. So there's extra overhead, right? So it always used to, I would look at Clay Mackle and he goes, I don't understand why everyone's trying to do stuff in SQL, because it's not going to be faster necessarily, except that maybe you don't have to build a relationship for something. So I think it's where you need to use selective use of it would be really useful. Obviously Kyle's very enthusiastic. You're going through this really fast.
So yeah, as SQL, I like to compare to using a hammer or a mallet when you're trying to pound a nail. When you're trying to pound a nail, you want to use a hammer. You don't want to use a mallet. But if you're trying to slam some sheet metal up behind some siding, you're going to want to use that mallet, not the hammer. So it's about using the right tool for the right job. SQL works great for very small tables. Anything over 500,000 records, you do not want to use.
Okay, back up. I would say over 40,000. We had it. In an earlier version of Starting Point, we had SQL in there, and it would fail at 40,000. It depends on what you're doing, but it's sensitive to found sets. It is definitely.
I've had to do fine for up to 400,000 records. I find when I get anywhere near 500,000 records, it becomes really slow, and I would rather use a relationship for that case. So it is use case specific. So you notice here I have it in the staff module. If this was an invoice table, I would not be using execute SQL because I could have a million records in it and it would take forever. Okay. So be very careful about what tables you use execute SQL in.
Right.
So as long as you're using it with smaller tables, it's all right. But just avoid using it with very large tables with lots, million records. You never want to do that.
All right. So so we had the question from Oregon Dean. Why, what, how are the 3 different angles for each application? Please elaborate. I'm not clear. uh, on
So
that. You want to take a swing at that real quick?
sure. So the different angles, I think he's talking about, like right here, I have a single select method. So you just select one item. And here I have a multi-select option. Keep in mind when you're doing a drop-down list or a pop-up menu, I don't think it supports multi-select any longer. You used to be able to hold down a shortcut key and to be able to multi-select in a pop-up menu, but I think they took that feature away. But anyhow, in today's FileMaker, this is where this comes in really handy, and it can be really powerful because a lot of times you want to be able to provide the user with multiple options.
Well,
So this gives them
yeah,
multiple options to choose from.
you'd have to solve that. You'd have to solve that in FileMaker with either a portal or a list view, a small list view in a card style window. Yeah, so it's doable, but you're not gonna do it inside technically a drop down list, right? So once again, you could solve it multiple different ways. But there you can do a multi select using native FileMaker, just not in a drop down list.
Yeah. So
okay, cool. So hang on, we got more questions. You just can't keep ripping away. Sure. So everyone's on the same page here. I explained to Kyle, and I'm going to explain to everyone else. He won't get through his entire demo today. So it's about doing a great demo, not about ripping 9,000 miles an hour so we can get to the end and say you're done. So if we never get to the last two items, I don't care because we have questions about the first one. So TK, Ellen Lobster has a question. So could you take a list of fields in a report and give the user the ability to sort it any way? And I think with SQL here, you could just make sure that the number of records, just make sure the list of number of records affected is limited.
If I comment out this one line that says ordered by, it's going to reverse the sort. You can see it adjusted there. I can open this up and suddenly I have it in a reverse sort order. So that's how easy it is to make it descending versus ascending. It's just a matter of changing this from DESC or ASC for ascending.
Okay.
So you can change the sort, or you can, it's going to default to ascending. So I could just comment that out if I wanted to, and it's not going to change.
Okay. All right. So David Angel says, can Kyle explain the virtual value list from a FileMaker value list?
Okay. So yes, I got to move this out of the way here. So your FileMaker value list. So here's the actual value list. So you can see we have custom values. Custom values, you can get to define your own values. And then if you want a related one, you can use from field. And this, you use values from field. You go in a specific field. You want to select a table here. And then you select the field from the table. In this case, you usually want to start with an ID if you can, because that'll work with the relationship. So that way you're collecting the ID and you're showing the name. So in this value list, I'm collecting the ID, but I'm showing the user the name. Here we have include all values, or you can include related values if you have the relationship set up for that. You can show values from only the second field. You can sort by first or second. So I usually just show the values from the second field.
Let me help for our beginners here a little bit real quick.
Sure.
So a value list is just basically a list, and it has values in it. So we're just talking about a delimited carriage, a list like Richard, comma Nick, comma Kyle, comma. That is a list. So or a value list. Okay. A FileMaker value list is this thing in here. He showed you one way of defining it. He's going really fast, but you can have FileMaker build a list for you. These three ways right here. You can also build a list with a script. There's been a number of videos where Nick has talked about that. Kyle's building the list here with some SQL, some other stuff. Nick and Kyle kind of come at things very much from opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's more than one way to, like we say, skin a cat. As much as I like my cats, it's kind of a term. There's more than one way to solve the problem. And it's just kind of, I guess, what you're more interested in. But yeah, that's kind of, I mean, just generically, the list that he's working with here for the most part is just a text string, right? I mean, that's what we're dealing. You're generating a text string, right? So,
yeah, we're generating this text string. The text string just needs to have an ID and a value, and those are what's going to show up in the virtual list. And everything else can come along with it. So if I want to get all the data that the user is selecting, I can use get JSON response. I can go in here. I have all these already selected. And click save. So when they're making their selection, we can collect all the data that we want. So all of this was stored in the JSON for each record. I wish I would have made this a little bit bigger, but there's only so much space. So yeah, so this was just 2 records that were selected, and we see all the JSON from both of those records, from both of these.
Okay. Agent Chevy is asking for something I don't think you're probably prepared to really do, given what we have. He says, in other words, can you validate this technique, bonify this technique, validate technique by showing us how this can be implemented in a real file, kind of like what was done with the audit log demo?
I can. I do have it in a real file. I'm not sure if I can show that. On the broadcast.
Well, yeah, you can't show. I mean, if it's customer stuff, then you don't show it. But I wouldn't show it because I don't want to have to explain to you whoever that you showing proprietary stuff. But I think what Agent Chevy's talking about is actually gluing it into a starter solution. I don't know if we have time for that.
Yeah, you certainly can. I am working on building an add-on for this, so that's going to be really cool. Hopefully I can put that into the Course Marketplace or in the open source section they're working on. So it's not available yet, but
yep. All right. So
exciting stuff moving forward.
All right. So yeah. So the answer is today, no, Agent Chevy. All right. So do you want to? I'm out of questions at the moment. Do you want to move forward with your next demo?
Yeah. So here I wanted to show off this JSON get values list. This is another custom function I just created for this project. And what it does is it generates all the JSON for your virtual list, so you can see all of the value lists you have in your file. What's cool about this is I can change this to a 0, and it's going to give me a different kind of list. This list will allow me to look up any value list by its ID or by its name. So if I wanted to, I can do JSON get values. The value, and what did I do wrong there?
I was wondering if it was case sensitive.
It shouldn't be case sensitive. Let's see what I'm typing wrong here. Sometimes it helps to go in the data viewer. Okay, element. Jeez. All right.
Yeah, that's called performance pressure.
I was getting confused there. Yeah, because we're live here. So yeah, so here you can see I use the ID 6. I got color. If I change this to actually color, so if I want to look at the value list by name, I can do that, and I get 6. So that way I can get all the IDs for the value lists, and then here I can see what all those value lists are and their ID. So it displays the value lists in a couple different ways, for a couple different purposes. So if you need the ID from the name, you can easily do that, and vice versa. Or you can just use this as a virtual list. So that's what I'm demonstrating here, which allows you to select from a list. You can select multiple value lists, and it'll show you either in JSON or list form, whatever you want. So here I'm going to get into some really cool stuff. So it's using a while function. It's going to use get a CSS. It's going to use text size, text style add, text color. These are all FileMaker functions, and it formats the text. So one of the challenges with trying to do this through JSON is we need to be able to get our CSS into our JSON. But more than that, we need to get this CSS back out of the JSON on the other side. So that's where this comes in. So now I have all of this. It's formatting this row, which you can see over here. It's got the CSS, span style, all this CSS that we created from that while function. So we can customize the color and the look of this any way we want. And then we can select our items, and then it'll return the values. It gets rid of the CSS on this end because obviously when you're looking at your values that the user selected, you don't want to try to deal with parsing out CSS and what part of that is your text. Again, this also works just by creating a list. So again, it's getting rid of all the CSS. It's just getting us the values we want. So really useful. So yeah, I really like that. Are there any questions?
Uh, I have a basic question.
Sure.
When you pop up, go back to any of these. I don't care. Pop up your little pop up, whatever your poppy up thing is, right?
Oh,
So,
okay, so there's a
all right,
couple of them.
all right. So stop. Just don't move. Okay. So what am I actually looking? This is a card style window. Okay.
Correct.
What am I actually looking at here? Like that center section with data that starts at AM. What is that? What is that?
It's a virtual list. So what? Let me
Okay, stop,
explain
stop,
what's
stop,
going on.
stop, stop, stop. I didn't. There's no such thing as a virtual list. Okay, so just slow down, slow down. What kind of object is that?
Okay, so this is all a portal. This is a portal looking at records.
There you go, baby. There you go. Everyone here's wondering what the hell you're doing. I guarantee, except for probably Oregon Dean and a couple people who know what you're doing. So, so this is a portal, and you're loading
Right.
the virtual list data into the portal, so then you can interact with it, and you can also scroll because portals scroll pretty well.
Yep.
So, okay, cool. All right. So
Yeah, each of these rows is populated by an unstored calculation. The reason this works so well on the client side computer is because it's not having to download all this data over the internet. So all of this is on the client's computer already because it's generated by this JSON. This JSON is stored in a global field. And so we have one table that holds the global field and another table that's saying, here's this global value with all this JSON,
okay.
and we want to parse it out. So we have a 300 records already created in our virtual list table, which is a table with all of our unstored calculations.
Got it.
And the unstored calculations will parse out the JSON. It'll show the values we want. So if I wanted to, I could also add extra fields to this JSON, and I could show them in this virtual list. I could have 10 different fields across my whole screen for that row.
Yeah.
So it's great for doing a simple report. I use this method for creating reports a lot, and it works amazing.
Okay, good.
It's really, really fast at showing the report data, and you can sort in this method. You can sort all of this. You can show it in the list view. It doesn't have to be a portal. So there's so many uses for it. You can sort the different columns. You can do whatever you want. You can perform finds on this. It's just a really amazing, useful tool.
All right, cool. There is a question from Jake. Jake is asking, I noticed a custom function, I guess in your file called isBugSir.
Is big, sir. Yes. So
well, either Jake can't type or you can't type. Someone can't type, but yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah. So in my scripts, I think it's in show at the very bottom, right here, if big, sir. So anytime you have an if function, this is looking for a true or false value. It could be a calculation, or it could just be is big sur. So this is just returning true or false if the current operating system is on big sur. The reason why we want that is because the new card windows, because I'm using card windows, the new card windows in Big Sur, they all end up with scroll bars, both vertical and horizontal, because the window height is wrong with the new card windows on Big Sur. Really annoying problem, but the solution is right here. You increase the height by 6, and what that does is it gets rid of that vertical scroll bar. And as an effect of getting rid of the vertical scroll bar, you're also getting rid of the horizontal scroll bar at the same time, because the horizontal one's only showing up because the vertical one's on the layout.
Yeah, well, what I'm wondering about, is this a known bug with Claris? I don't know if Christian's there.
It is a known bug. I've shared it with Claris. They know it's a problem. I submitted a huge bug report to Stephen K. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I submitted a whole bug report to him showing all these screenshots, and I made videos for him showing him all the problems. And so I've been working with him on trying to resolve some of these things. So,
well, it's good you did it this way. Just keep in mind, obviously, when they fix it, then it'll reintroduce a bug back into your solution, because your compensation won't be required anymore.
Yes,
right?
This is why I made a custom function for that. So if they solve this, all I have to do
is fix the custom function.
Manage custom functions. This the power of custom functions. You can create a custom function here. You can delete all this. You can delete the. I could do that, and it'll get rid of that value, or I can just type 0 in there or whatever.
Right.
So that way it's not using it anymore. I can disable it in one spot. I don't have to try to go through all these various scripts, try to find all the spots somewhere down in here where it says is Big Sur, and try to disable this,
I like that. I like
So
that. I like that. That's a good
yeah.
tip. That's more of a beginner or intermediate tip. All right, so next question's from Next, whoever Next is. So Next, I guess, is it after before, but later than today, but then maybe part of after tomorrow. So Next says, would be possible to use the style text? You might want to look at this question. Style text parentheses is basically talking about FileMaker functions
Okay.
instead of using CSS because like
No, I've tried a lot of different things, and nothing really works through the JSON. Uh, you have to have some kind of style here. Uh, you you could do what you could do is you could have the FileMaker functions in your JSON, and you can use the evaluate function on the other side. So that is another workaround. But I just thought it would be really simple to just have it as CSS. It's super portable. Uh, so
okay.
I really felt this was the easiest way to do it.
It's not
And
saying that necessarily he can't do it. He can't do it that way. It's just he hasn't figured out how to do it yet. So Luca has a question. Next question in there, if you want to look at that, says how it created. I'm just how is it created? The banner message when a value is changed. Value list dash
so that's the
traditional.
script triggers. So you can kind of see right here, I made it pretty much invisible. So I have a button bar here. It's got 3 different messages. They're all color coded with conditional formatting, and they all have this little eyeball on it. And what that eyeball is, that's your hide function. So and so this is going to hide it. Let me shrink that down. So this one will not show if the show notification global variable equals static CC year. So that tells me that that notification is for a credit card year. And then what causes that is
Can you go
sometimes when
back?
you group.
Yeah, I mean, you whiz through this. I mean, nothing personal. I'm a pretty smart guy, but obviously I'm pretty stupid compared to you. And you whiz through this stuff so fast. I saw it looked really cool. I totally agree with Luca, but I have no idea what you're doing up there. None. I mean, are we like flipping slides, or what are you doing to get the
Yes, it
animation?
is. So yeah, um, it
I
is
mean,
flipping
just so
side
you know,
slide.
people can't. I mean, Luca and I don't read minds. We're not the psychic hotline here, right? So, so yeah, we don't understand.
So
So,
what I have here is, I have a layout animation set variable. So it's setting that global variable so it knows what to do. It's refreshing the object. So button bar notifications, go to object. That's where the magic happens. So now we're going to the next slide. The next slide is slide.show notification. And on the flip side, I have another script that'll close it. So it's going to go to the object slide hide notification. And what that does is that gives you your animation. So when I'm showing this, I get it's committing records. It's setting the layout animation on, which gives us our slide effect, and then we're going to the object. So when we're going to the object, what it's doing is it's sliding all these button bars in. So we have a slide with all the button bars on it, and the other slide is just empty. It shows nothing. So that way you don't see it until you want to.
all right,
So
can you
when this
walk?
runs, it opens this button bar up, shows you the message, and then it closes it after 4 seconds, which is determined right here. You can change that to 2 seconds if you want.
Back up. So let's take a look at this. Actually, all right, so hang on. I'm not going to have you do it. I'm going to make you a little bit smaller temporarily. I'm going to switch back to command mode. Stand by. I'm taking over. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Discord. I need the download link. I want to run this file because I have the trick with these hacks. I'm waiting for any of you to call it a hack, but you probably did call it a hack, but I didn't see it because I'm not part of your little. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's heads just blew up. So Kyle, virtual file. Okay, so what I want to do, Kyle, how do I initiate the animation? I have to go in here and change like the thing up here. Is that what I'm doing? I'm gonna.
So in credit card year on the
Oh,
left, just hit that pop-up menu, and there's that.
Okay,
and it's
so
gonna.
Okay, so
after 4 seconds, it'll slide out.
Okay, stand by. I'm gonna.
So there it slid in. And
Yeah. Okay. So
so
this is kind of my problem, and I don't know if you could design around this. So for those of you who watch this very carefully, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna initiate. So because people do something and then they have control of their computer, so they can come over there and start writing stuff, right? But then the script triggers and it takes them away, and then while they're writing, they lose focus, and then you start getting error messages. So that's been my problem. It was my
that was bugging me too. I was trying to figure out a way around that.
well, the way around it is that Claris actually builds this into the product, right? So
yeah, they should have an exit all scripts trigger previous scripts. So like it's paused right now, because it's paused and you're typing. If you had a script trigger that could end that pause and just you can tell it to close that notification before you let the user type, that would solve the problem. But there's no script trigger for that.
Yeah, but that's a hack too. That's totally a hack. That's a super hack.
Using
right?
a button, you can pause running scripts, but not
well,
from trigger.
It needs to have the animation complete without disrupting what the user was doing. Is kind of the thing. So,
yeah.
Neil, I think your stuff is horrifically afflicted by this. Do you have a fix for this, Neil? That we miss? I mean, it's only been a week, and I'm really busy, and so I maybe missed your subtle awesomeness. But maybe Neil has an answer for this. So anyway, oh wait a minute, I got to scroll to the bottom. Instead of the pause launch on timer every 4 seconds, have the second script install a non. Yeah.
To install a timer script.
Yeah.
So I do have an on timer script step.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to.
I have it in this file actually. If you go in the script window, there's 2 files at the very start. One is search on timer, and the other one's
Stop for a second. The beginning people are trying to understand this. So Neil, hang out with Henry for a second here. So the problem is that we do this right here, and then I'm assuming, hey, the computer's good to know. I see that now. I start typing. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. There's and I'm over here working, and if it's going to decide to fire the animation, that's okay if it one does it quickly, and B, then when it's done, it doesn't blow me up, right, Neil? Right? So is that what you're saying?
Add an error catch actually. There's an error catch in the script. Maybe we could just turn that on, and it'll prevent that message from opening.
Well, the message is a legit message because I've lost focus. The script took me out of focus. I was in here typing. Yeah. So the problem is that you guys have built hacks that blow stuff up, right?
Yeah,
so if you have a hack, then your hack has to be friendly. Okay, this hack sucks. I love it. It's beautiful. I was gonna say, I'm going to steal that if it doesn't suck. But my suck investigation is now testing, and it's like, okay, here I'm working. I'm doing shit, and suddenly.
Then you get the message.
How do you do it? How do you do an F minus? How do I do an F minus if I want to?
Going to the other slide.
YMCA. All right, so the suck factor has now reached a high level. I'm going to have to offer refunds
There is a resolution. We just have to work on it and continue refining it, and then we can make a little add-on for it once we've refined it and get it working right. So
did you just lay a lot of good bullshit in front of everyone? I think I just heard that. It's like, yeah, it's not a problem. We can make it work. It'll totally work. I got an engineer who does this, right? And he has no idea what he's doing. So the problem is you can have a hack, but you can't have the hack disrupt the user, right? So I'm okay with the hack, but then if you're here, it really needs to. It's almost like you need to let this animation, let something continue, and then put me back in the context I was in. But the problem is you could write a script to say you were in a field working, but it's just not just the editing the field. I could be like, what if I was over here tabbing and doing stuff or clicking some other stuff or whatever. There's the points of possible interference are big. I know get active field, but what if I'm doing something else, right? Orgadin's right. You could have a hack which breaks it. Then we use another hack to compensate for this one situation. But users, okay, there's a line in this book that we're working on. In your database, you have users and you have data. The data will behave itself. The users will not. Your users will find new ways of breaking this, and that's what I'm trying to have more of a generic, all-encompassing, thing. So anyway, using a button to close the next banner instead of
I've got a lot of ideas on how to fix that, and I'm sure I can do it. I'll release another demo when I figure that out.
Well,
Don't have time for it right now.
yeah, I know. We'll go back to the thing that we were playing with was doing a web viewer with a web page that would show a message and then it should just kind of fade out, right?
Yeah,
And a web viewer can operate
it's independent.
asynchronously, independently
Yep.
from the FileMaker. It wouldn't affect it. So we need a way of putting a message in there, and then it kind of flies off or fades out. That would be a great add-on.
Yeah,
And,
I can do that.
I can do that.
I'll put that together for
FileMaker
you.
can do that. We have to
Next
sing the
week.
song. FileMaker can do that. FileMaker can do that. I'm going to the office doing my invoices, and I gotta beat my staff with a fork. FileMaker can do that.
So I have one more preset function here. So here I'm doing a while function, and it's looping through a list of colors. So in this, I have several different lists of colors. Function that's colors dark. It's going to get the darker colors of the spectrum, and so it does the found count. It goes through, and this is going to create a couple different values. So here I have the hex value it's creating. So the ID is a hex value, and then value, which we're going to display, is the RGB value. So you can have both those in your response. So here I can select multiple colors. I can go down, click save. Same thing with if I just want to do one color. So this one is a single select. There's no checkbox here. And this one I have the multi-select.
I need to steal that for my calendar. My calendar needs a color selector, and it broke, so we're going to steal this.
That's what I created this for. It was a calendar. I have a full calendar integration, and all these locations, all the events in the calendar, they're color coded by their location. So I have a table where they can adjust the colors for each location. And so this allows them to just select the color in the portal, and it'll pop up this card window and allow them to select the color for that location. So that's really cool. So here I did the JSON, and what the JSON response does is it allows you to either use hex or RGB without having to use a custom function to figure that out. So I thought that was really handy, so I left that alone. Additionally, you can add an extra line in here. If you want to do color names, you can have a list of color names that it also adds to this JSON. And then you can display just the color names, so that way you're not seeing all these RGBs. You just see dark red or pink or whatever color it is. And then when the user selects it, they click save, you'll see ID and the value will be the name, and then you'll have RGB or something down below. So it'll still have. So I think that makes this trick really powerful. And again, you can do JSON return or regular just list return.
Yep, I like that one. Yeah, we need the color selector. The real Moki is here. That's cool. Yeah, the color selector is, we have a color selector because we've been shipping our calendar.
Check this one out. This is an add-on I just created.
Okay.
I can move it to the layout. This is a whole nother color selector. This allows you to, it uses Apple's built-in color selector.
You should have just focused on this for the broadcast, and people will be much more excited about this. Now people are all excited, right? So,
so I can.
But back up. That you said this is Apple's color selector. So does this work on Windows?
It does not work on Windows. That's
okay. Let me help you with your grade. Here's your grade right there. F minus.
That's why I can't use it, because all my users are on Windows. But I am working on adding Windows functionality into it. It'll be a little different.
Hey, is the color selector that was over here, is that Mac and Windows?
Yes, that is why I included this.
Okay,
so it works from this JSON. It uses a virtualist portal. This is actually a container field. It's a container field populated with a custom function that'll just do one pixel of the color I want. And then because it's a container field, I'm able to enlarge that one pixel to the full size of that container object. So that's how it displays the swatch, the color selection. That's how you can see all these colors all the way down. But basically, this is just, it's taking that color from the ID, that's a hex color, and it's converting that color into a GIF file. And then it's putting the color.gif into the container field, and it's only 1 pixel. It doesn't take hardly any information, which is why it works so well in a portal, because the more data you're trying to present in a portal, the slower it's going to be. So if all of this was 100 pixels trying to fit in that little box and times this many records, it's going to slow down the scrollability of this portal. You wouldn't be able to scroll very fast because it's using an unsort calculation to show it, and it's just using 1 little pixel and it's enlarging it to fit the object.
All right, so Neil in Australia, I'm not sure if he should be allowed to ask questions because he's pretty smart. He exceeds the IQ of the average person here. No, show us the custom function for creating a 1 pixel image. He's very interested.
Oh yeah, that's why I went into here. Apparently I didn't add the custom function here. What I did is I just put the unstored calculation in that swatch field. But this is the calculation, and to create a custom function with it, all you have to do is make this color be your parameter in your custom function.
Yeah, so let me help translate here for Kyle. He's going really fast. So for Amy Sheely, the one that looked like the Apple one that was down here, you just forget about it. Just cross it off your mind. Yeah. Pretend you never saw it because it's a hack and it doesn't work on Windows.
It does not work on Windows.
The one that's over here that shows into a portal, which is not nearly as sexy, but it's still pretty good. That one is Mac and Windows, so which means we can use it, right?
Because almost all of my users work on Windows, that's why I had to create this virtual list selector. There was no other way to really provide them with a color selector.
There you go.
You can see all the colors.
Yep.
And be able to use one from visual color selection. So that was the easiest way. And because it's powered by this while function, I can change the list to whatever I want. So what this is right here is a custom function. If I go to File, Manage, Custom Functions, and if I look for colors dark, open that up, it's just a list. So it's using the list function here. And then it's got all these separated RGB values. Okay. Yeah, so it uses that list and it converts that list into JSON here using the while function. And it uses RGB there. RGB to hex, that's another custom function. It takes that RGB value that we're seeing and it converts it into a hex value. So I'm able to use that hex value as the ID and then display the RGB value.
All right, so there was a bunch of questions that I wasn't watching over here. So Incy says I'm a bit confused, okay? Incy, so am I. So, yeah, I told you folks that it was only, okay, let me go back and help you here. Today's broadcast is only for these people over here, this one person. Let me help out. So if I go like this group right here, that's that group. That's the group. The people over here, right? Over here and over here, we are screwed, okay? We are screwed big time because Kyle doesn't operate below 9,000 billion gigahertz of senior energy. So, yeah, so that's the problem with that. So, NC has, I'm confused. If you can do a value list and work with conditional formatting in FileMaker, why do JSON and CSS at all?
Right here, this is the FileMaker value list. I see red, orange, yellow. This is the color selector you'd have to do without this method. The user can't see what color they're choosing. They have to read each of the colors. It's not very user friendly.
To be clear, okay, I'm going to just add my commentary. I think the CSS for the container is super useful. Outside of that, I don't think you need JSON for this. It's just that Kyle is married to JSON. He loves it, which is fine. It's his choice. It's his sample file. But I think strictly speaking, the CSS allows you to enter the RGB values and pop out the little container sample picture thing, wherever that's at, wherever it went.
Yeah.
And that right there, I think, is the part that is the most the useful thing. The JSON, I think, is optional, but yeah, so.
Yeah, again, this is just temporary storage. This isn't a global field. It's only on the users, on the client side. So this isn't on the server. You're not downloading any of this. You're creating it right here on the client side computer. It's all being parsed on the client side. It's not loading the software at all. The only thing is this little bit. That's all we're saving. Other than that,
Yeah. So
sure, it bloats its JSON, but this isn't saved. This is all temporary data that's easily replaced as easily as that. So now it's something completely different. So none of this is saved over here. This is all global field data. So it's all temporary.
Yeah.
So
I think Mark has a question, which is, I think probably about 3/4 of the people have the question, which is not something that we're kind of over time now. But the question is, well, I don't do JSON. I don't know JSON. So what the hell am I supposed to do with all this? And so that's more or less what he just said. And so I kind of point out that today is more of a senior thing. So it doesn't apply to Army guys. It doesn't apply to Marines who chew on crayons. I think for us to be really comfortable with JSON, I think you just have to get into it. But I would start with some simple things. I wouldn't look at Kyle's demo as a place to start with a sample, right? Because largely, I mean, Kyle, you're still breathing heavy and getting excited here, but the plane is landing now. So, please return your question, right?
On another day, we'll discuss JSON and how to create JSON, how to parse JSON. I think that's a huge topic. It can wait for another day.
Yeah,
but we can certainly get into that.
Well, we have talked about that previously. Feel free to do a search on learning basic JSON. I think part of it is watching videos is one thing, but I think you've got to really play. It gets to an issue where it's like Bunny was going, oh, if I watch your live streams every day, and I miss Bunny, but Bunny's not here. I said, if I watch your live streams every day, how long will it be before I can get a paid job being a FileMaker developer? And I'm like, never, right? Because watching the video is useful, but you have to sit there and struggle. And in the process of you struggling, we all know this, Mark, the process of you struggling to do any mechanical, psychological, whatever thing, you're going to run into walls, run into problems, and then you're going to solve the problems, and then you'll commit the knowledge to memory. And that's how that works, right? So any muscle memory thing, Mark, and we talked about this earlier, right? This right here. And that's a muscle memory function. And to do it well requires the development of the muscle memory. So if depending on what this is pushing, right, Mark, but if it's pushing on the mouse, which I can't grab my mouse because it's hiding under the keyboard here, but that's what this is all about. You got to build that muscle memory. So I'm not totally sold on the split thing. I do like all the questions together. Yeah. Moki. Holy shit, Moki. I'm going to recycle that meme. So the airplane went in and everyone's dead. So that's really awesome. So I want to thank Kyle. This is an amazing file. I plan on stealing the color thing, although I might simplify it a little bit. That way, in case I have to train someone on or explain to them. That would be really great. So anyway, so Kyle's there. Kyle is awesome. Kyle will be back to being on the spectator side of the crowd. We're going to expect great behavior from Kyle next week. Next week, by the way, is not going to be probably on JSON at all or SQL, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be UI, UX design considerations with Nick. So that will be a different topic, different flavor, kind of like the opposite of today, although both are useful. Now, as we end our broadcast today, I do want to share this awesome video, if I can get it to pop out. And where did Christian put the video? Oh, there, I just saw it go by. Where's it at? There it is. So how do I pop that open? There we go. All right, I'll see everyone next time.
We need to track our stuff. When we're blind, it's really rough. And our business will fall flat.
FileMaker can do that.
Hey Carmen, we have trouble. We need a transfer on the double. I need to send 24 of this hat.
FileMaker can do that. An employee came in late, and we have to set her straight. We need her time card stat. FileMaker can do that.
We need a point of sale, one that doesn't make me well. We're locked in retail combat.
Yeah, FileMaker can do that.
We must connect to our website, process orders before midnight. Our current system's a brat.
Hey, FileMaker can do that.
We need to print some price tags. If we don't, our business lags. These barcode printers are up to bat.
FileMaker can do that. We need to find someone cool who really knows this FileMaker tool. Someone fun and cool as a cat. Hey, wait! I can do do that. We do it ourselves, DIY. We use FileMaker on the fly. Data management for the rest of us. FileMaker works from the least to the best of us. FileMaker can do that. Oh yeah, FileMaker can do that.